All right, welcome to the Sports Guys. Another episode. This is our NFL Championship game reaction, and we had so much fun watching football yesterday. We had two really great matchups. One really exciting, one pretty boring because of the weather, but we'll get into all the details of both of those. How you doing, Robbie?
Oh, I'm doing great.
What did you
Yesterday
think
was
of
a
the
yesterday was a
championship?
blast. We were in and out of sledding and watching football. It was so much fun. Snow everywhere. Boys had a blast. But championship football, very exciting. One game drove me crazy, and another one I actually really loved and thought was one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I feel like the theory you've had for a couple of years now that every team needs a retractable dome stadium
Mhm.
really came into play yesterday because if you had had that in Denver, you certainly would have had a higher score. You would have had more of a shootout. Although
Yeah.
both of those defenses are so good, I still think it would have been relatively low scoring, but it would at least been football that could move the ball down the field.
But you know what it might have been, Tom? It might have been a pick six. It might have been it's not necessarily the defense is giving up all these points. It's that everybody has better traction. I I don't want to watch a bunch of people shooting threes because I can shoot a three in basketball. I want to see guys dunking from the foul line. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see guys in the NFL doing things I can't do. Playing in the snow and running half speed, yeah, they're still faster than me on snow, but they're not as fast as they normally are. They're not world class
Mm-hmm.
athletes in this kind of terrible weather. I don't really want to see it. Like it's not that impressive to watch guys slipping and falling, and it's fun to play in it. Send me out
And
there.
then,
Like
and
I'm
then
all in.
the passing game's completely non-existent. You
Disappears,
know, they
and
couldn't
nobody
even
can score a
run the
point
ball.
and
Yeah.
nobody can score a point in the second half after there's one field goal. It's like, so I've spoken on this many times. If you go back to our episodes on numerous episodes about how I feel about bad weather games. I'm fine with a little bit of rain or something, but generally speaking, if you have a torrential blizzard or downpour, you're going to affect the talent level so much that it's not the same product.
Yeah,
It's
and I
just
would
not.
say that this is one area all of you guys have been watching the channel for 2 years know that Rob and I completely diverge and disagree on, and that's okay. And that is, I actually really enjoy the elements portion of the game, and I like when there's wind so bad that the field goal kicker has to kick it way left to try to get it to curve in, or that you have some snow, you have some ice, you have some situations where guys can't feel their hands. I like the elements. I think it adds a variable that makes it really interesting. But I may be one of only 10% of football fans who feel that way. I think that most fans would agree with Rob, and I think they want
Here's
Seattle
here's
LA
what
Rams in every game.
here's what I'll say. I think most fans would say, "Oh no, I love the snow games. I love it." But then when they watch that trash that happened on Saturday, I mean on Sunday, in Denver, they say, "Ah, that wasn't good." Like in theory, they like bad weather games because it adds an extra element they have to contend with. In reality, it takes away the world class speed, incredible
Mm-hmm.
power.
True.
Lots and lots of the playbook goes out the window. So I want to see the full playbook. I want to see, um, I want to see Sam Darnold versus um, Matt Stafford dueling it out for the win. And yeah, defenses can have huge plays that swing the game. And I'm not all offense. I'm just if you take offense down to zero, I'm not interested. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want defenses to be so dominant over the offense that they can't even begin to score a point.
Mm-hmm.
That that's
No, I'm with
that's
you.
way too far.
I
I
would
want
agree
to
with that.
see I want
I
to
think.
see I want to see the Rams against Seattle all day long.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think
And
ninety
see,
percent of the fans would say the same. For me, I would prefer to watch the more exciting game too. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I like when you throw in a snow game every once in a while and you have that situation. And we
I'm
called
okay
it.
with a
I mean,
snow game once in a while, a snow game, but not to decide who's going to the Super Bowl.
And we called it. I mean, if you look at our preview show a couple weeks ago, we said that we thought that game, because it would be in Denver, because it'd be snowing, we thought it'd be really low scoring. I picked 13-10 Patriots. And so it didn't surprise us at all. I do think that we thought that there'd be a little bit of a chance to move the ball. And the second half was just abysmal. They could not move the
It
ball
was
at all.
so crazy how the first half was reasonable. It was
Yeah, it wasn't
cold.
bad.
There was a little bit of flakes. I don't mind that so much. That's pretty good. First half was entertaining, even though it was low scoring. I'm fine with low scoring. But what happened in the second half was ridiculous. I mean, that's when you have to be able to close the dome and just say, okay, we've got to control the elements a little bit.
So I want to call out to all of you guys watching tonight. Just drop us a comment. We really would like to hear from you. Would you like to see Rob's proposal where every team has a retractable dome stadium and the days of the snowy, non-scoring playoff games is over? Let us know. Drop a comment and tell us.
See, the bad weather games promote an idea that, hey, defensive struggle. No, it's not even that. It's just complete incompetence on offense because the elements aren't there and you can't kick a field goal. Like, it's mm-mm.
So let's talk about the second game in that 6:30 window where we saw two elite quarterbacks, two elite teams. I think the best two teams in football. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
clear.
probably.
Dueling it out, duking it out in Seattle. Relatively cold, but the weather was good. It was fine. And you had two of the top, 5 or 6 quarterbacks in football, and definitely the two top rosters in football battling it out. And it was one of the most exciting playoff games I've ever seen. So what was your thought on
Yeah.
that game initially?
It was a top handful of games, championship games I've ever seen. It goes down with, Niners, Cowboys, Redskins, Cowboys. It goes down with those games as top.
The only game I saw ever that was more exciting than this one was a couple years back when Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen dueled it out, and it was 41 to
That
38.
was that was a good one.
The most unbelievable. Every time they touched the ball, they scored a touchdown. And
You can't play that game in a blizzard.
that's true. That's very true. So any other thoughts about Sam Darnold? Did he quiet his critics? I mean, for a couple of years now, everyone's been saying he can't win the big game.
He was outstanding. He was off the chart. He went toe to toe with Stafford. They were both outstanding. I
They were.
really believe after that game that Darnold probably is top 6
Me too.
quarterback.
I put him around 6. That's where I have him.
And I think right now, Matthew Stafford is number 1.
Me too.
Me
He
personally.
should be the MVP.
Yeah.
I'd vote for Matt Stafford for MVP 100% right now. That game was so incredible, and I think that the reason I chose the Seahawks to win that game and win the Super Bowl is I saw several weeks back the way they were blowing people out. In Week 16, they beat the Rams, and the Rams ended up letting their special teams coach go after that game in Week 16. And I wonder if that was a smart decision. Not that he didn't deserve to be fired because their special teams have been abysmal, but did it make it even worse in this game where the attention to detail just isn't there because you don't have the coach anymore? What are your thoughts? Because that was the biggest play of the game, in my opinion, the muffed punt.
It's hard to say. They were losing games a little bit throughout the year. They were 12-5. Every now and then they would just have a terrible special teams play, and they had to get rid of the coach because of it. I'm not sure they have the right person in place, and that really costs them. But a lot of these young offensive coaches do not appreciate special teams enough to make it a high priority. So, but I mean, the other thing is the depth. Another thing that you have is the really good teams are probably not going to be as good in special teams because they are not as deep. And the depth of your team shows up on your special teams because that's where your backup corners, your backup safeties, your backup guys are. And if you have a really good deep team and you're drafting high every year, you're probably going to be good on special teams. Then you throw in a great punter and a good special teams coach, and you've got all you need to really have that third element of your team locked down. And that's what Seattle has.
I'll tell you guys, Rob and I had some of our best conversations off camera we've had in a long time today, and a lot of it was about that topic that Seattle has essentially nailed their last four drafts really, really well. And
Yeah.
their GM doesn't get enough credit for it. But what he's done is he's stockpiled so much talent. He's got 3, 4 deep at every single position. And so what it ends up doing, like Rob said, it ends up showing up in your special teams and your special team quality. And there was no
Yeah.
question Seattle special team is better than the Rams. And
That's right.
they
Better
came up
athletes
right.
playing. Yeah.
Mhm.
They had to stick Kyron Williams back there to receive the punts. And what's funny is they just told him, just catch the ball. Don't even try to run with it. Just catch the ball
Mhm.
so we don't have a disaster again. That's a terrible situation to be in a championship game
Mhm.
where you're switching out your guy, putting a running back there who I think he has 4 punt returns in his
Mhm.
career or something like
Mhm.
that.
Right.
He's not a punt return guy. So like you're sticking somebody back there you trust to overcome your deficit. And that's terrible. Like that's not, if you have no ability to run the ball back because you're telling your guy just catch it and fair catch it, um, then you're negating a big explosive potential play. And you're sticking your offense wherever the punter landed the ball. And that's not a weapon. That's a deficiency. So
Mhm. I thought the biggest plays in the game, number one, we just mentioned the muff punt by far because you had these two
huge.
quarterbacks going toe to toe, these two offenses rolling against two good defenses, but they both were very successful. So then that's number one. Number two was the play in the back of the end zone by the Seattle Seahawks defender to knock it away on 4th and 4. That
Mm-hmm.
was a huge defensive play. The defense did not have much success in this game on either side, but that was a big deal. And then the other one was another huge pass breakup right in the middle of the field. The Seahawks had almost intercepted it. And
Mm-hmm.
so they had a couple plays more than the Rams, and that's all it took.
Yep. The biggest play in the game was the muff punt because it handed them a touchdown, and that was the difference in the game. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say that you could say exactly what would happen if he had fielded it cleanly. You don't know how this would have gone, but there were only 2 lead changes, and it's because the guy muffed the punt and then they scored a touchdown, and then they maintained a big enough lead, 2-score lead to hang on. And it's just hard to say what would have happened in this amazing duel of great quarterback play, strong defensive efforts, and really good coaching. Like I like both coaches. I think they both really do a good job.
I mean, do you think Mike McDonald gets enough credit? Do you think the Seahawks GM gets enough credit?
He's starting to now.
I mean, McDonald's in his second year, and he's taken this team from bottom of that division to now the Super Bowl, and should
Yeah.
get some
Well,
huge credit the way he's coaching this team.
I just think you put your finger on it with the GM of the Seahawks. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to get a lot of credit.
He does.
He needs to get a lot of credit because he's been building this team for the last several years and putting together all these pieces, and then they go get Darnold, uh, into a finished product. I always talk about that. Get your quarterback last because that's you need to have a nice team around him. Look at how Darnold struggled with all the stops he's made along the NFL, the Jets, the Niners, the
Mm-hmm.
Panthers, the Vikings. He didn't always have the best team around him, and he struggled really hard. And he heard footsteps or ghosts. I mean, he saw ghosts.
You realize
Same
this
thing
is
with the
his
Jets.
fifth. You realize this is his fifth team, and
Yeah.
their first four teams gave up on him. I mean,
I've been
that's an
saying
incredible
for a
story.
long time.
Incredible.
I've been saying for a long time that quarterbacks sometimes take, 7 years to really get the depth of the position. And all this talk about let's get rid of CJ Stroud. Is he the right guy? This is crazy. I mean, no, just stop. Deep breath. What kind of coaching is he getting? What kind of development program is he in?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these quarterbacks shouldn't be starting. Darnold absolutely should not have been starting for the Jets when he was drafted. He
Mm-hmm.
should have been sitting and
He's
watching with a
21.
clipboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they almost broke him. And there's so much incompetence in the NFL doing this to good young quarterbacks who do not deserve to see the field yet because they need to be allowed to mature in a safe environment before they go make huge blunders that cost their team
That's true.
and destroy their careers. I mean, look at CJ Stroud. If you put a good coach with him, he's going to be fine.
I
You
agree.
let him stay on in these bad organizational situations, and they're going to destroy him. So, I don't know if D'Amico Ryans is the guy to have around him, but they need a better quarterback whisperer there, and he'll be fine. He's my example of young Darnold earlier in his career. Now look at the results of staying patient and giving people opportunities and letting people learn. Guys like Darnold, guys like Brady. He wasn't very good until year 7. There's lots of examples of quarterbacks that are being given up on too early. And Darnold is a perfect example of what you can do if you just stay with somebody and you let them. Baker Mayfield. I mean, there's so many examples.
Well, and you just have to tip your hat to the organization, the Seattle Seahawks, the GM, the second-year coach who's now taken him to the Super Bowl, and of course Darnold, who was with his 5th team and has finally put it all together, like you said.
Yep.
So you just have to tip your hat. I would also mention the Patriots have a first-year coach in Vrabel who used to be a linebacker for them and actually won Super Bowls with Tom Brady. He could be the first ever to win a Super Bowl both as a player and a coach for the same franchise, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
But you got to tip your hat to him, what he's done in 1 year
Absolutely.
of that team.
They remind me of each other quite a lot. McDonald and Vrabel, because they're both culture guys. Have you seen the video of McDonald talking to his team? He had them. I guess it was the first camp. Or the first week at camp
2 years ago.
And he had them dreaming about being in the playoffs and being in the championship game and the Super Bowl and all this. He had them picture it in their mind. So he painted a picture and then made them go to work. And that's the kind of stuff that pays off. Think back to NC State basketball when Valvano did that. Do you know what the first thing he did with his team that year in 83? He made them practice simulating or go up on a ladder and cut down the nets so they could picture it in their mind. These are culture building, positive thinking moves that really pay off, and you got bad organizations like the Cleveland Browns making their coach prospects write essays and stuff. And then you've got teams that are turning around and building the right cultures in 1 year or 2 years because they're not getting bogged down in stupidity. They're building a culture of men who have single-minded purpose and they push each other and hold each other accountable, and they pick each other up when they mess up, like dropping a punt or whatever. They get good coaching, good development. The coaches know their guys so well. They know what they can handle and what they can't yet. They don't put them in positions where they're going to fail and then they get the blame and all that. Like, these coaches are doing an amazing job in a short period of time because they're culture builders and they know how to deal with the psychological side of football. And it's exciting to watch. There's a lot of good coaches in college and pro right now. They're all doing the same thing. They're getting the between the ears right, and then it shows up on the field in terms of whether it's Cristobal teaching controlled violence or whether it's McDonald teaching the swarming, like, massive energy bursts that his team has. They call them the what is it called? The dark side defense. They want that mantra. They want to be us against the world. These culture builders are really fascinating to watch because they get it. They get the mindset right, and then they go out there and they do their thing, and they let the players excel. And the Patriots are the same way. The Patriot way lost its way for a little while there, but it's back. And,
so I picked the Patriots 13-10 over the Broncos, and it was close to that. And the reason I did is because you had Jared Stidham with the Broncos, who hadn't thrown a pass in 2.5 years. And I felt like if Bo Nix had been there, I would have picked the Broncos. But because he wasn't, I picked the Patriots. I also picked it very low score because both defenses are absolutely fantastic. They're both top 10 defenses.
Yeah.
And also, I picked it low scoring because Drake May had not been playing well in these playoffs, and that happened again. He did not perform well, other than running the ball. He did have some nice runs. But on the flip side, the reason I picked the Seahawks over the Rams is because the Panthers in Week 15 exposed a real weakness for the Rams, and that is their DBs are very short. They're 5'8" and 5'9". They're not physical, and they get torched by very big and speedy receivers. And we saw that again yesterday. I mean, the Seahawks had an absolute field day against the Rams DBs. And I've got to think, as McVay goes back to the drawing board, to get them back to where they want to be next year. That's the number one weakness they have, is their defensive backfield.
I think so too.
Because you saw the Panthers exploit it and beat them 30-27, and then they almost did it in the playoffs. They have this weakness against tall, physical, speedy receivers. And JSN, man, what a game he had against that DBs. Incredible.
It was so cool to see the two best wide receivers in football going at it.
Puka went crazy. Javonte Adams had a great game. I mean, it was just so much fun to watch all these guys.
Javonte Adams was awesome. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and break the games down. What do you think?
Do it, yeah.
All right, let's do a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, and that is Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's is a longtime sponsor of the program. We love Jersey Mike's. Matter of fact, a quick anecdote, over the weekend we had a huge ice storm in North Carolina, and I survived on Jersey Mike's. I had multiple sandwiches I had ordered. So, Robbie, what do you think of Jersey Mike's, and what about your family?
Well, I'm always talking about the 17, the steak sandwich. I love it, the famous Philly. I went Saturday after the boys' basketball game, and everyone loaded up. We got buffalo chicken wrap. That's my girlfriend's favorite. I have my 17. Boys got different variations of turkey, and we took Uncle Bill there. So everybody got something different, and it was so good. Really fantastic place. I mean, when I walk in there, I know it's going to taste good, and it's going to be an awesome lunch. And we get dinner there too, but we really like to go there after the boys' games.
That's great. Yeah, Jersey Mike's, it's so fresh. The people are so friendly. You can order it on the app. You can order it online on the website. You can have it DoorDashed or Uber Eats to you. Go check out Jersey Mike's today and get yourself a sub and really enjoy it. I know that I love the number 13. Rob loves the 17. Tell us what you guys think.
It's just a really well-run place, and they have a good brand and a really good product. And as a customer, they check all the boxes. They're great.
They do. It's delicious. So go check it out today, and remember, it's a sub above.
Sub above.
All right, so this is our episode 107, NFL Championship Game reaction. You see there the Super Bowl up above in Santa Clara. That's what everybody was trying to get to. And finally, we have the two teams that are going. The AFC champion, New England Patriots, and Drake May, who's a Charlotte boy. I've been reading a little bit about his high school days, and we'll talk some about that. But pretty cool to see him hoist the trophy there, and to think, Robbie, that Robert Kraft has now gone to 11 Super Bowls as an owner. The most
It's
ever.
Incredible. Yeah.
And this is a team that had to give up on Bill Belichick and saw Tom Brady go to the Buccaneers and has found their way 3 years later all the way back and is back in the Super Bowl with a whole new regime and a whole new set of players. So
I've been hearing rumors about Belichick going to the Bills. How amazing would that be? That'd be some good.
We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be David, but we will see. So any thoughts about the AFC champion Patriots in the season they had?
So, I mean, they did everything they needed to do to be here. I've commented on how I haven't been very impressed with their pathway, but they have done an incredible job of building a team that believes in themselves. I really like Drake May, so I'm pulling for him. Mm-hmm. He didn't play the best throughout the playoffs, no question, but his team's there to get his back. Right. I love Vrabel. We couldn't believe, Tom, when he got fired. I
was just stunned.
Yeah. I was stunned. That was one of the most stunning firings of all. and they were losing, so it shouldn't have been. But that's how bad of a decision that was. I mean, like
Right.
one of the probably the dumbest firing I can think of in the last few years.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think that Sean McDermott, deep in the playoffs, you get to the quarterfinals, you do not fire your coach. I mean,
It makes no sense at all.
that's just so dumb. Like it
Yeah.
might feel good to do that, and then when you're left with now what? It's just there's you need continuity, you need
I think the
stability,
Mike
you need
Tomlin one and the John Harbaugh one, those two, they're very good coaches, but both of them kind of made sense to me. It felt like those
a
two
little
teams
bit.
needed a new voice.
Yeah.
But McDermott made no sense, and
Mm-mm.
Vrabel made absolutely no sense.
No.
Do you think the Patriots are built for long-term success with their defense, their running game?
Yes.
They're adding pieces. They got
Yeah.
Drake
They
May, and they got the coach.
they need some more players on offense, but they are absolutely with that culture built to start getting better from here. I think they're
You
going to
know,
improve over the next 2 years.
Colin Cowherd said at the beginning of the playoffs a couple weeks ago, he said, "You know what? I feel like the Patriots are still a year away with a really
Yeah.
good draft in between of being that dominant AFC team." He said, that doesn't mean they can't make it to the Super Bowl, but he said, I still feel like they're a year away and they need another really good draft.
You know, Drake May is the second youngest quarterback to go to the Super Bowl.
I did see that. Yep.
Do you know who the first was?
Who?
Dan Marino,
Oh, wow. Huh.
my Dolphin. Yeah.
I personally think, unfortunately for the AFC, the Patriots are back and
Yeah.
they're built for success and they're going to get
And the Bills
a couple
missed
more
their window.
drafts. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So on the NFC side, of course, the Seahawks, what a magical year they had. You have Sam Darnold with this incredible story. Really, both of these guys have incredible stories, and both coaches have incredible stories as well. You have a situation where both these teams were not anywhere close to chosen to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. One of the most unlikely pairings for a Super Bowl we've seen in a long time. And what a story this is for the Seahawks, coming all the way back with a new regime, a new set of players, and being this dominant in the NFC, which is the better division, I think.
So I got both these games wrong. Um, for good reason. I did not foresee the snowstorm that hit in the second half in Denver being such a disaster for both offenses, and all that New England had to do is hang on to a 3-point lead. Um, I think that game would have been completely different in good weather. I'm not saying Denver would have blown them out, but I think that it would have been a different game. So who knows what would have happened? And I underestimated Seattle. I underestimated how good they are in all three phases. I also underestimated Sam Darnold. I've
Mhm.
liked watching him play. I'm a big defender of quarterbacks who aren't given a proper opportunity to arc their development in a 7-year path, etc. If they're thrown to the wolves in year one and then called a bust, I tend to recoil from that. I think generally I like the way Darnold has persevered and persevered and persevered. So they've been very impressive. I thought that the Rams were the better team going in, but I definitely am impressed with Seattle, with Darnold, with McDonald, the coach, and with the defense. It's
Mhm.
just awesome. They have
It is.
such good weapons, and they know how to use them. And
Mhm.
so I got both of them wrong for various reasons. And I think if they played again, Denver would at least hold their own against New England. And I think if they played again,
Mhm.
it would be 50-50 with Rams and Seattle.
I
But
agree.
Seattle is tough. Like they're
I
just
mean,
tough.
let's just be clear. All four of these were really great teams, so it's kind of a
Yeah.
crapshoot a little bit. But
Yep.
I chose the Patriots because of Jarrett Stidham, and because I felt like they were the better coach team, and I just felt like they were a little bit of a team of destiny this year. That's why I chose
Hmm.
them.
Yeah.
If Bo Nix had been in the lineup, I would have chosen the Broncos at home. So that's just how it is. And then on the NFC side, I felt like this would be a slugfest, and it was. But I felt like the Seahawks had the better running game, and I felt like they had the better defense. And I'm always going to go for running game and defense if the teams are otherwise evenly matched.
It feels like that was the Super Bowl,
It does,
you know?
100%.
Yep.
100%. That was the best game I think we're going to see, because I think the Super Bowl will be okay in the first half, and I think it might get lopsided. So, in the
I
second,
mean, it might be a good game, but
we'll talk about it.
yep.
So, getting into the game, Patriots at Broncos. This was the 3 o'clock window yesterday. You can look at the game leaders. Drake May, 10 for 21 with 86 yards passing. Of course, second half we talked about, you basically couldn't pass the ball.
Yeah.
So Stidham had a little bit better day than that, and I felt like, Robbie, it was surprising to me. He seemed calmer, more
He's good.
relaxed, and more settled in the pocket than Drake May did in the first half. I really was surprised how Stidham carried himself.
Yeah.
So,
It
any
got ugly
thoughts?
for Stidham when the blizzard hit in the second half.
It did. It did.
That's when he looked rattled. Because
And then,
I'll be honest with you, Tom, when they showed replays, the white jerseys on the white snow field, it was really hard to see defenders.
yeah,
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I think the NFL should look at making both teams wear away jerseys,
right.
colorful jerseys, if it's going to snow that day. I
And
think
then,
that has to be a thing, because the white jerseys with the silver helmets, it was really easy to lose that in the snow,
true. It's
especially if
true.
you were glancing quickly, like scanning with the speed a quarterback has to analyze. He has 2 seconds. It to me it led to one of the most important plays in the game, which was that long interception. I don't think he saw the defender very well.
Well, not only that, but of course they got behind, and they shouldn't have been behind. We'll talk about the reasons why later, but they got behind, and he was a little bit desperate there, trying to move his team down the field
Yeah, for sure.
towards the end of the fourth quarter. So, what are your thoughts about Drake May's performance? We saw this in every single game in the playoffs, but we talked about Patriots had a really easy track to the Super Bowl, but I've heard a lot of talk today on sports radio and sports TV where they disagree with that. They said, look, they beat 3 of the top 5 defenses on their way to the Super Bowl, and to say that it was an easy track is just missing the mark.
I think it was the easiest track I've probably ever seen. But that doesn't mean they don't belong there.
Yeah.
I mean, they
discount the 3 of the top 5 defenses.
They faced a completely decimated Chargers offensive line where they were killing the quarterback. It wasn't a hard path at all. It was one of the easiest I can remember for sure. And I've heard that a lot. And so people have been investigating it and looking back on how people got to the Super Bowl. And it is one of the easiest ever. So, good for them. But
and
Nick, you can only play who's in front of you. You can only take care of business with who you need to beat. And they've done that. So they deserve to be there. There's no question. As far as May goes, what I like about May is that he's a very team-oriented guy. If he has to use his legs, look at him in this game. He got 65 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, very important touchdown, to convert that fumble recovery into a touchdown on a day when it wasn't perfect in the first half. It was very hard to move the ball in the first half. It's just when the blizzard hit, it became impossible. So, May said, all right, fine, I'll run it. If our throwing is not working, I'll run it. We need to do whatever we need to do to win. And I like that about May.
You know what amazed me about Drake May in these playoffs, no one talks about, is that he's the 4th leading rusher of all the teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he's not doing much with his arm in these playoffs. We've seen that, but he's doing a lot with his legs, and he's picking up huge first downs and huge touchdowns. The other thing in this stat line I noticed, Robbie, is really fascinating to me. The Patriots had 0 turnovers, and they had 1 penalty on a day that's that brutal. To play that clean is incredible.
That's right.
Absolutely incredible. 1 for 1.
They knew they had to clean up some of the mess from the game before when he fumbled 6 times and lost 4 of them.
Right.
That's
coaching.
hideous.
When you can go into a game that is a blizzard and come out with 0 turnovers and 1 penalty, and be 1 for 1 on 4th down and have a decent 3rd down conversion in a blizzard.
Yeah.
That was coaching to me.
Yeah.
They outcoached the Broncos. Other things you saw in the stats here?
So a couple of things. The Pats have averaged 18 points a game through the playoffs, which is very low. And they've only given up 26 points in 3 games total. So their offense isn't doing anything, but their defense is doing even like dramatically higher than they did all season. So
Mhm.
their defense is really clicking and coming along and keeping their offense out of problems when they're fumbling a lot and turning the ball over. Their defense is holding to the other team from scoring.
Mhm.
So that's impressive. Um,
It is.
I think May is willing to not have a big stat sheet. There's no ego there. It's all, he's just worried about his team and winning. He
He
just wants
just
to
wants to
win.
win. Yep.
That's who you want, that kind of a leader. Matt Collins, getting him back, there was a couple of huge plays in the game. He gave a lot of juice. He's a crazy wild man. He's always walking into the stadium barefoot, and he
Right.
was singing, and he was clinking beer bottles or some kind of bottles going in
Yeah.
singing. I mean,
Right.
he's insane. He's hilarious. He used to be a Bill. He's definitely a tall receiver, very quick-footed and extremely good hands. He's a
Mhm.
playmaker, and so he made some plays. And I just think as a team, Butte has been impressive to me all year. He didn't do too much, but he had an important grab. And their defense,
And and I
three
will say
sacks.
they were committed to the run. They had Stevenson get
Yep,
71, and like you said,
yeah,
May got 65. So they were really committed to the run, which I think
yeah,
was a big
yeah.
big difference. And
They
one
they
reason
were
you
they
see
were
them,
mostly using Stevenson. I think they were reluctant to put Travion Henderson in too many tough situations, but it was very impressive that they wanted to control the game, knowing the environments were going to be tough. They knew it had to be low scoring. They needed to get a small lead and just hang on to it with that defense,
and
and
they
that was a
won
good strategy. It
and they
really
won
was.
time of possession, which was another big deal. Basically kept it
Hmm.
out of the Broncos' hands. So
Yeah.
yeah, really interesting. So we'll have to talk about a couple of these photos here. The first one is maybe the most important play in the game was Jared Stidham trying to get rid of it and getting hit, and they ruled that that was a backwards pass and that
Yeah.
the
So let's talk about that play.
Patriots pick up the ball at the 12-yard line, basically gifting them a touchdown
Yeah.
when the Patriots have been
So
incredibly ineffective the whole first quarter.
So I'll tell you about that. I've seen a video breakdown of it, and it's pretty interesting. First of all, I love that Stidham said, "That's not good enough. I need to do better." He took responsibility, but a lot of people are breaking down that play. That wasn't really his fault. He played a role, and he should have gone down and taken a huge sack, but it wasn't his fault that that play went south. Because you can hear in the audio mics hearing him go to the line, and he says, "Kill, kill, kill." And then, so he's calling off the play that they were going to do. And then a couple of defenders shifted and he said, reload, reload. And the running back was supposed to run from the right side next to him,
Hmm.
across him, and through the gap between the left tackle and the left guard out into the flat turnaround. That's his safety valve. You see the running backs, Henry, go from the right side, come across him, and he gets bogged down blocking the left tackle blocking the defensive end with the left tackle.
Hmm.
So there was no safety valve right there. When Stidham looked up and saw a guy barreling up the middle, he had about a second to make a decision. He was backpedaling as fast as he could, looking for that safety valve. When it wasn't there, he tried to throw the ball away and it went backwards. So he messed up in such a fraction of a second. He shouldn't have been in that position. So really,
Hmm.
I would say that it's more, um, it's mostly the running back's fault in that situation.
Hmm.
And you could look at the offensive line. Why did that guy come unabated with a full blitz right up the middle, not accounted for? If the running back's going to stay in and block, he had to block that guy, or go out and be the quick dump off so that
Hmm.
Stidham didn't have to get hit. So again, not to be a Stidham apologist, but the truth is that play was blown up because the running back messed up
Agreed.
and left Stidham no chance. And then Stidham's your backup, not used to having to go away from script, And yeah, he should have taken that sack, but he's thinking, I shouldn't take a sack here. Try and throw the ball away. He had the right instinct, but he didn't have enough time to do what he needed to do.
And what's so interesting about that is that he didn't take the sack because he was trying to make a play, and that's what Sam Darnold used to do, and that's what he did even last year with the Vikings. And then this year,
but hold on a sec. Hold on, you're almost right. But he wasn't trying to make a play; he was trying to throw the ball away.
Yeah, I know.
That's big. That's a big difference. That's an experienced move. Throw the ball away, live for another down from the original line of scrimmage. Try not to take the sack, but not by throwing it into some window where somebody's triple covered, but like throw the ball away. That's what he was trying to do. But because this guy came so hot up the middle that he didn't even have time to like just chuck it out of bounds.
That was just a devastating turnover because at that point it was 7-0, and really the Broncos were rolling in the first quarter. I mean, they really had control of the game, so that was devastating. Yep. The second biggest play of the game is just below that. That's Sean Payton making the call through the headphone to go for it on 4th and 1 instead of kicking the field goal to take a 10-0 lead, which could have easily won the game on a day like this. And everyone's scratching their head. And then the play call was just head scratching. It was an outfielder with 2 guys on the guy.
To the running back who was totally covered.
What was your take on that? His explanation
insane.
was,
I was screaming at my TV saying, "Why don't they ever kick field goals anymore?" There's some metrics that have been put in place now that make no sense to me and don't take into account a lot of factors that exist in a game. So backup quarterback, terrible weather coming in, none of that stuff was factored into the numbers that they're looking at. Go for it on 4th down. Go for it on 4th down. So I don't understand why coaches are doing this so much now. I think you can go for it if you're on the other side of the 50-yard line, but not in field goal range. I'm going for it.
He said that he went for it in the press conference because of situational reasons in the game and because of who they were playing and because he knew that if they could score a touchdown, it would kind of put a stake in it. And to me, I agree with his reasoning, but the situational football part should have made him kick the field goal.
It was 7-0. They would have gone up 10-0. 2 scores with a blizzard coming in would have made the Patriots start to press and get out of bounds and
probably do some turnovers
and probably turn the ball over. And that would have been predictable that the Broncos D, who led the league in sacks, would have gotten rattled with him down 10 points, and they would have unhandcuffed him and started having him throw the ball, and bad things would have happened. And the Broncos would be going to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, so those 2 plays huge, and then the third, most important play, I think, was the Drake May scramble to the left that sealed the game.
Yep, where he got
the
first.
Really important play, and he had a couple big runs. He had the touchdown run also.
Yeah,
that was a big play. And then probably the biggest factor in the game is just below him. You see what the game looked like in the 4th quarter. It was unplayable. You couldn't even see what yard line it was.
It was a complete disaster.
Couldn't see who had the ball. It was just, I don't know how they played the game, but we definitely as fans couldn't see anything. You could have easily taken a nap in the second half and woken up with a minute left and you would have missed nothing. That's basically what it was.
I'm now on record quite often talking about these really bad weather games, but I've heard a lot of people who defend playing in everything saying this is not what we're talking about because it was that bad.
So Nick Wright said something about Drake May. He said Drake May was the driver of the bus all year. He was really fantastic. Matter of fact, he's going to probably be second or third in the MVP rankings.
They love him.
But he said in the playoffs, he's been a passenger. It's basically been living off a great defense, a running game, a team that's very opportunistic when it comes to turnovers, great coaching, situational football. You even saw Vrabel call the timeout with 1 second left before the half to kick a field goal. They missed the field goal, but at least
I would amend that a little bit. I would amend that. They were lucky to be here. They're lucky to be here based on the 4 fumble performance where they were trying to have Drake May be the superstar.
Right.
And dropping him back, and he was getting hammered, and he was making really bad decisions. They escaped that one. They escaped and won it and said that'll never happen again. We're going to have Drake May running the ball, handing the ball off, occasionally throwing because we've got good wide receivers, but we're not going to ask Drake May to be a superstar, winning games carrying the team on his back. Let's be reasonable. He's going to need to get some third downs, sometimes with his feet, sometimes throwing, but we're not going to ask him to go win the game for us. That they learned that in this playoffs, because I would say they tried to make him drive the bus. The bus almost crashed off a cliff. They pulled it back enough to save it. And then they said, all right,
I,
Drake, you get back in the back. We're going to have somebody else drive.
I just like that
That's kind of,
analogy. I thought it was dead on. That basically he drove all year, but then in the playoffs he just has not been good, and they've had to kind
right.
of put him in the back seat and win in other ways. And it shows a really
Yeah.
good team, by the way. They can win in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Final
Like I
thing.
said, they learned from the last performance that they need to downplay May's influence in the offensive performance in such a
Mhm.
way that doesn't expose him to getting hit so much and
Mhm.
coughing the ball up and making bad decisions. He had a terrible game last time, and they still won. So
Do you
that
think that Drake May could beat either the Rams or the Seahawks the way he's playing right now?
no,
I don't either. I
no,
don't either.
no, because they would ask the defense to hang in there, New England, but they wouldn't be able to hang against um, Stafford all day long
It's
or
basically a
Darnold
shootout
all
with
day
those
long.
two. Those two teams are
Yeah,
shootout. I mean,
that's right.
it's crazy. So this
Now, I
game,
will say, I think May is better than what he's played in the
I do
playoffs.
too. No, I
And
do
I
too.
also think he's a young quarterback in year two, and the sky's the limit by year seven. So,
He's in
like,
year two, and
both things
Darnold's
are
in.
true. He's been terrible, and that's okay because this reminds me of the Patriots teams where they didn't ask Brady to go win it in the beginning. That's what people forget about Brady is that he was told, don't lose it, don't go throw a pick, don't fumble, and our defense is going to win it. And the Vrabel teams did win it for the Patriots back then. Brady didn't in the first couple years, and then he took over in year seven, and that's when Brady. It was the Brady show.
He's
Um,
he's in year two, and you got
yeah,
Darnold in year seven, and you got Stafford in year 15. So those
yeah,
guys just have so much more experience. It's not even
yep,
close.
yep.
So this game was New England minus 4.5. I told you at the time I thought New England would win by 3. So if I was at the betting window, I would have taken Broncos plus 4.5 in this game. The over under was 43. I also thought that was very high for a snow game. So I
One
would
of
have hammered the under.
one
So
of the biggest plays in the game was when Christian Gonzalez picked off that long
yeah,
pass from Stidham, and
for sure.
what you had to take into account on that mistake of him throwing that was number one, I couldn't even see the defender when he let the ball go. Because the jerseys were blending in with the white, and two, um, the play before, I know that he was told we're going to take a deep shot here, and he dropped back, and the receiver ran a post, I think it was, and
Hmm.
he didn't let it fly. And I
Well,
think Peyton got in his ear and
he
said,
hesitated.
"Let this one fly. Let
Right.
this one fly. We're going long." And so I don't really put all of that blame on Stidham. I think he threw a poor ball, underthrew.
Yeah.
I don't think Stidham, when he let the ball go, believed in that play. I
Yep.
felt like he half-heartedly obeyed his boss,
Hmm.
but I don't think he would have thrown that if he had been allowed to do his normal
I think
progressions.
you're
I
right.
think he was
I
told
would
you
too.
are going long on this play, period. And
100%.
I think he threw it and it wasn't open. And Christian Gonzalez picked it off 2 minutes and 11 seconds left. And that was one of the biggest plays of the game. And I felt bad for Stidham because I felt like the two most pivotal plays in the game, neither one were 100% his fault. And they really led to
And yet they were
the
both
Patriots
absolutely devastating.
devastating.
So,
Yeah, two
so
devastating plays.
one
I
other
would
thing
love to
here.
have Stidham on my team. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's
I
pretty good.
think it was difficult in those situations. In that environment was crazy. Yeah, it was at home, but it was just crazy. And I think he could I think he could be a starter somewhere. I really do.
Possibly. So
I think he's better than the bottom 8 quarterbacks.
So NFL.com ranked Vrabel an A in this game, and they ranked Sean Payton as C.
Hmm.
Any take on that?
Yeah, I think the running back getting engaged in the offensive line instead of being the flare out was not Peyton's fault. So I'm not going to do that. But I think that him going for it on fourth down instead of getting the points was his fault. And I think that Peyton, my theory is that Peyton was in Stidham's ear and said, "You will let this ball go long on this one," because he pulled back on one and
Mm-hmm.
then threw it incomplete, I think it was. And I think Peyton said, "This is the time we're going long." And I think that was a mistake. I think he
Mm-hmm.
should have said, "Go long if you can, but if it's not there, watch
Yep,
out for the jerseys that are flying around that are the same colors as the white field."
100%. So the absolute opposite game was Rams at Seahawks. This was the 6:30 window, 31-27 Seahawks. What an incredible game. Like we talked about, this was the second best playoff game I've ever seen. You look at the numbers, Stafford with 374, Darnold with 346, essentially almost the exact same game. Both had 3 touchdowns. Both had 120 QBRs. I mean, you just never see that where both guys are essentially flawless. The running backs for the Rams, I thought both were really, really good. Kyron Williams and Corum had a nice game. Kenneth Walker had some of the most shiftiest runs I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
Really nice touchdown. And look at Nakua's numbers 9 for 165 and a touchdown. I mean, good
it was
Lord.
so good.
And Smith and Jigba was just unstoppable. You and I kept calling each other during the game and asking, why is no
Yeah.
one covering Smith and Jigba? I don't understand it.
That's why they felt like they could get rid of DK Metcalf.
Yes, I do know that.
They
And
believe in that guy so much.
and what was interesting about the Rams is apparently they tried to talk Cooper Kupp into retiring when they let him go last year. They didn't want him to go to a in conference rival. And what did he do? He goes not to just in conference, but in division rival.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of huge catches in this game, including a touchdown. So I wonder if that felt good to him to have that kind of game. But anything big stand out to you in the game leader stats or the team stats?
I mean, I think both running back situations were multi-use backs. Seattle had their running back who ran well and received well, was a threat all over the place, was a real problem. I think that the same thing can be true. Blake Corum had a huge game, very
Mm-hmm.
consequential plays.
Mm-hmm.
Kyron Williams was very consequential.
He was.
He got a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So um, on a reception.
I thought
So
Kenneth Walker played
both
really well.
running games were both running and catching out of the backfield,
Mm-hmm.
a la sort of Christian McCaffrey kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
That was exciting. Then you had Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams
Mm-hmm.
receiving incredible
Adams is great.
passes from the
Yep.
best quarterback in the NFL. And you had Sam Darnold, who's playing at the top of his game, the best we've ever seen him play, throwing to
Mm-hmm.
Smith and Jigba, who's probably the other best receiver. I don't know who's better, in Jigba, Smith and Jigba, or Nakua. Honestly, you'd have to flip a coin
They're like
because
1A,
those are
1B.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are the two best
Yeah.
in the league,
Yeah.
and they were making plays that you can't even believe. I mean, it was a complete extravaganza. Let me tell you this: if I was to take a friend that I really like, who's maybe from another country or something and doesn't know anything about football,
Yeah.
I'd show him that game.
Oh my God. He'd
I'd
be hooked
I'd show him
immediately.
that game and try
Yeah.
and make him fall in love with the sport.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, and you look at this stat line for the team stats, he had one turnover in the game, and that essentially cost them the game. It was a muffed punt.
yeah,
Basically, way to look at it. The
yeah.
other thing I noticed, though, just slightly towards the Seahawks, was the third down conversions were significantly in the Seahawks' favor.
Yeah.
And to see the Seahawks go 4 for 5 in the red zone, you talk about
But
efficiency.
but you want to know something?
Incredible.
Rams' offensive line held up.
They did.
They gave up one sack.
It's true.
They gave up one sack and they protected Matt Stafford. And because of that, they just kept coming back. There were only 2 lead changes but it felt like a constant battle, like
No,
boom,
no,
boom, boom, boom,
it
boom.
did.
Only 2 lead changes, but it felt like there was 10. It felt
Hmm.
like it was back and forth, because the team would always answer and they'd stay
Hmm.
behind, but like it was really good game,
Incredible game.
fantastic. And yeah, there's a lot of stats that sort of point to it. Um, third down efficiency was probably the biggest one.
Hmm.
But time of possession was close.
And you look at
Um,
why did the Rams outgain the Seahawks by almost 90 yards, and why did they have more first downs? The reason is, and not win the game, is because they had that drive where they went for it on 4th and 4 down at the
yep.
goal line, and it got
There
knocked
were
away.
two negative plays that made the Rams fall short. One was the muffed punt,
Hmm.
which handed the touchdown to Seattle, and the other was the going for it on fourth down, 4th and 4,
Hmm.
which is insane. All they had to do was get a field goal, and that was at the
And it would have been
minute.
31-30. It would have been
It would have been
31-30.
31-30 with
Hmm.
4:59 left, which is a lot. So your defense is playing well overall. You're giving up a lot of points and stuff, but your defense is hanging in there, and they're not giving up too many points. So I would have kicked the field goal and kept it right at 1 point. So all you gotta do is get a field goal to win it,
But you know
and
that
I think that was
Sean Payton,
absolutely doable.
you know what he said in the post-game press conference? It was a honest moment that maybe he shouldn't have said. He said, we didn't think we could stop them on that ensuing drive if we had kicked the field goal 31-30. He said, we felt like they were just going to march down the field the way they were playing the offense. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know if
I
that's
don't
a
know. I
message you
mean,
want to tell your locker room,
Tom,
but
look
that's how he
look up
felt.
here. Look up here at the scoreboard. 0 points in the fourth quarter
I know. I know.
for
I'm
either
just telling
team.
you what he said.
Why didn't they think they could stop them? There was no evidence that they were running roughshod through them. They
Mhm.
were stopping him in the fourth quarter. There was no movement. It was back and forth like stoppages. There was punts. So I don't agree with him. I think he just made a mistake.
Yeah.
4th and 4 is too far unless you're just over the half line, but you're not close enough to kick a field goal. They
What you
were
and I talked about.
absolutely, they were absolutely close enough to kick a field goal. They were on the what yard line were they on? On the 6 yard line.
Yeah.
I could hit that field goal.
Right.
I used to kick for the rugby team. That'd be an easy chip,
You and I
even
talked
in
about
cold weather.
we talked about off air that analytics a couple of years ago used to mean you go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2,
Yep.
right? And it
Yep.
showed that if you really analyze it, that is a good play to go for it at a very short distance. Except for, you have to account for what the game situation is. And in this case, 4th and 4 is just too far to chance it. They should
Yeah,
have
it is.
taken the points and just
Think about it, Tom. When
put it
you're
on the
when
back
you're
of the
running
defense.
when your running back is getting 3.2, 3.4 yards per carry, that's considered reasonably good, relatively good. But if you need 4 yards, that's more than what a normal positive running play can get you. So that means you have to throw. That means you're one dimensional. That means that your defense that you're going to dial up is going to go with your tendencies. And
That's right.
that means the advantage goes to the defense. And another thing that was interesting was that they called a timeout um, right before it, which allowed them to regroup and really get themselves organized. So
Mhm.
that was a huge mistake, I think. They
I
should have
agree.
kicked a field goal and gone 31-30 with Matthew Stafford. You're telling Matthew Stafford we're going to get the ball back, and all you got to do is go put us in field goal range.
This is true.
That
100%
was,
true.
and that's not second guessing after the fact Monday morning quarterbacking. That's common sense. Both times that these coaches did fourth down plays, Peyton's was a mistake, and so was the
Sean
Rams one.
McVay's.
Yeah, McVay. It was a mistake. Period.
Yeah,
It's okay to make a mistake. I'm just saying that cost them
it
the
did.
opportunity because
It did.
now when they got the ball back, because remember there was 4:59 left when they decided not to kick a field goal and go down by 1. You wanted to get points there. You couldn't come away with no points. You had to come away. Okay, we're only down 1 point. All we need is a field goal, and their defense did hold because look at the fourth quarter. No scoring in the fourth quarter. That means that their defense was probably going to
They
hold.
should have made it 31-30 and then just put it on the backs of the defense to get a stop. And then you've got
And you know what would have happened if
Yeah.
know what would have happened if you tell Matt Stafford all we need is a field goal. You know what
Would
you
it-
already know.
He would have gone and ripped their
Puka
hearts out.
Nacua, Kyron Williams, you
Yeah.
know.
So
Devontae Adams would have had a nice first down conversion, and you can see it in your mind. Like the Rams win that game.
We both agree that both of those fourth downs were mistaken. What you and I talked about off camera was when did 4th and 1 turn into 4th and 5? And they basically they go for it automatically on 4th and 4 now and 4th and 5. They just automatically go for it because of analytics. And
I don't like analytics.
Analytics has got to be pared back. Yeah, it's got to be
I think using analytics in a vacuum is a mistake. You have to understand the situation of the game, where it is on the field, and what it's going to do to your team's morale. Imagine how many times they kept asking the team to, okay, defense, go get a stop, even though our offense just ran the ball down there and got no points. Like that's demoralizing.
So some epic photos here
is not demoralizing.
Some epic photos here. The first one there on the top left is one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. A one-handed catch by Smith-Njigba, and not just one-handed catch, but it's stuck in his fingers. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
It was funny because my girlfriend's not terribly into football. She loves it being on. She grew up with it in the background. It's really cool. But she looked up, saw that play, and said, "Are they allowed to use stickum, like a sticky substance on their hands?" Because it looked so much like that, just to the average person who's not like a massive football fan.
You know how difficult it would be to catch it like that on the tip? You're catching on the tip of the ball. Wow.
It looked like he had like major stickum on his
Unbelievable. To his right, you got, of course, Sam Darnold had, in my opinion, the best game of his career.
No question. He was so good.
He was unbelievable and just very clutch. To his right was Davante Adams, who I thought had a fantastic day and felt really bad in the post-game press conference watching him because he's now 0-5 in NFC championship games. And I just can't imagine you're a receiver, you're late in your career, you're getting close to retirement. You're playing at a really high level. You've played with some great quarterbacks, and you're 0-5 in the game that gets you to the Super Bowl. And he was actually crying in the press conference, and he was trying to hold it together. But I really felt bad for him. I just for these guys that they don't care about money anymore. They have plenty of money now. It's about you want to get a ring, you know.
Yeah.
So
and you know that your opportunity to stay healthy enough to get all the way through the season to the Super Bowl, you don't get many chances.
Do you think the Rams are going to try to run it back with Puka and Devontae and maybe give him one
why
more
wouldn't
shot?
you? Why wouldn't you? They came so close. I really think if they had put it within 1 point, they would have won the game.
Possibly.
I mean, that's how close they came. I think so.
Possibly. Yeah.
That's how these were the two best teams in football playing, I think.
You know, I'm kind of rooting for Devontae now. I want him to get a ring. I'm kind of rooting for him.
Yeah.
So just below that, Matt Stafford. I think he's the MVP this year. We'll see if he wins it, but he played essentially a flawless game as well. I mean, he's
the best quarterback in football.
Yeah,
he's getting older. He's getting old, but he's still slinging it like as well as I've ever seen him. Accurately.
If they try to run it back, which I think they will, he's going to be in the last year of his contract, and so is Devontae.
They might need to rework some contracts to allow a little more depth so that they have a better special teams.
That's right.
And
then to his left is Puka, who just, I mean, what a game. I don't know even how you can describe the game he had. I mean, does anybody else have a Puka-Devontae Adams combination? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
That's why they're number one in the NFL in offense.
Because Puka is similar to Smith-Njigba, but there's no other guy on the other side who's just as deadly. You know,
they were saying on ESPN that never in NFL history have you had three receivers have that big an impact on a game. Usually it's one or two. And they also said this is the first time ever both quarterbacks had more than a 120 QBR.
It was a duel.
Both quarterbacks.
It was a duel. Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. I mean, if we had
It
this
was.
every week, you'd have very high ratings.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick preview of the Broncos and Seahawks. This game's in 2 weeks on February 8th. Both teams are 14-3. This is going to be a 6:30 game on NBC if you want to watch it. You can see the leaders in terms of the season leaders. You got Sam Darnold against Drake May, Kenneth Walker against Travion Henderson, Smith and Jigba against Stephon Diggs, Leonard Williams against Landry, and then Jones against Spillane. So those are your big guys in all those different categories. Game odds.
I think the Seahawks win every one of those categories.
I think so too. Better.
Yeah.
Game odds. Seattle was originally opened at 3.5. It's gone up to 4.5 now, and some people think it's going to get potentially all the way up to 6. We'll have to see, but the over/under is 46.5.
New England's good at muddying the waters and like mucking it up.
They can muck it up. Yeah, I agree with that.
They're physical. They have Vrabel's attitude. I like May as a quarterback too. I'm not dismissing him. I think he's going to be a great one. I think that he's going to have some good plays. They're going to be smart with the playbook.
Yeah.
They're going to have he had a fantastic year. They're going to be really smart with how much they're asking him to do. They learned a lot from 2 games ago. And they said, we'll never ask him to do that much again. He's not Superman. He's a very important part of our offense. He's a very important part of what we do, but he's going to be a part of what we do, not all of it. And that, I think they're smart. I really like Vrabel as a coach. I think he understands how to attack other teams' weaknesses.
I think both of these teams signify the temperament of their coach. That's what it feels like. Both of the coaches have really put their stamp on these teams. So
you know what's weird? I feel like you can run the ball on Seattle's defensive line, even though they're monsters. I think that dropping back is a nightmare scenario. I think that the whole defensive line can cave in the offensive line and get to your quarterback in 2.5 seconds. I think you run the ball and you do a lot of dump off passes and you just wear out their secondary.
So some interesting stats here, Robbie. Tackles. Patriots offense was ranked 2nd in scoring for the season. That really surprised me. I didn't know they were that high in offensive scoring. Yeah. They had the 4th best passing offense with an elite .23 EPA per play.
It's not an accident that
May an explosive team.
May's not having a great playoffs, but he had an incredible season.
He did.
The fact that he's a finalist for MVP is not an accident. He had a great playoffs. I mean, regular season.
And then reflecting Vrabel, who's a defensive-minded coach, their defense was ranked 4th in scoring offense, which is really darn good. And we're 8th in total defense. So they really have a very good, very solid defense. So that's a really great combination. That's why they're in the Super Bowl, because there's such a good combination on both sides of the ball.
And can you say enough about Sam Darnold? I mean,
I know. So you look at the Seahawks, their offense was ranked 3rd in scoring, just behind the Patriots, with a balanced and strong running game, and Kenneth Walker Jr. is playing his best ball ever.
Yeah.
And their defense is number 1 in scoring defense. They have the best defense in football. So guess who's number 1? Guess who was number 1 in scoring offense? He's ahead of New England and Seattle.
The Rams.
It's funny how you see all these teams that are so deep in the playoffs. They have all these high rankings.
You got to be good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
and that's Seattle. I mean, they're good on all sides of the ball. And everyone that touches the ball is competent and capable. And
you know what I noticed about halfway through the season? The reason I thought they were the best team in football about halfway through the season was they hit so darn hard.
They do.
It's painful to watch the way they hit people.
It's different. If you turn the volume down and you just watch, they play with a little bit of energy level that is sort of more than the other teams.
That's right.
They're just blasting people and knocking them out. And, I think Colin Cowherd, I believe, was talking about how they play a little bit on the edge and they're willing to take make some mistakes and take some penalties. And
they take some 15-yarders.
Yeah. They kind of got the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, they'll give you some chin music like Miami.
Yeah.
Chin music. Yeah.
Yep. They
So
play within the rules, but they're going to play tougher than the other teams.
so the matchup predictor that was run through the ESPN computer 100 times came out with Seattle winning 60% and Patriots 39.8%. Any
Yeah,
surprise there?
that's about right.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then the game, of course, is at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. Back in 2015, I was actually there. I've only attended one Super Bowl, and it was the
Mhm.
Panthers playing the Broncos in that exact stadium. I went with my Bank of America colleagues, and we had a blast the 2 days before the game. But then, obviously, the game was very sad for us Panther fans. So, Robbie, your lean on this game?
I gotta say, the Seahawks have more reason to be excited than the Patriots.
Not impossible for the Patriots to win, though.
Not
There is a
impossible
path.
at all.
There's a
That
path.
sounds about right. 60-40. That's about right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The
I
Patriots
lean.
muck it up, and if they're able to handle the defensive line for Seattle, run the ball at them and do a lot of dump off passes and not have May taking lots of shots and fumbling the ball and stuff, then they can move the ball down the field. They've got a lot of nice pieces on offense and keep their defense off the field. Keep Darnold, bottled up a little bit and double Smith and Jigba everywhere he goes. Um,
Mhm.
They're really creative though. One of the most important plays in the game was where Smith and Jigba is running wide open in the end zone. And when he caught his touchdown, a
Yeah, it
lot
was
of
great.
people are saying, "How could he get so wide open? He's the only guy you have to
They
cover."
schemed him open. Yeah.
They schemed him open.
Hmm.
He started the play in the backfield
Hmm.
and he flushed out through the traffic and they couldn't pick him up fast enough.
You can't tell me that the New England DBs won't do a better job against Smith and Jigba than the Rams
Yeah,
DBs did. The Rams just
I
got
agree.
torched. They got torched all day.
Well,
So
but he was catching the ball ridiculous. But on that one play, he came out in the wash and they couldn't catch up to him fast enough. So they'll have
yeah,
to have a scheme they'll almost have to have a spy on him.
spy. You have to have a
You know
spy.
how you spy a quarterback?
Yeah,
They're gonna have
you
to
have to.
spy in Jigba,
I
I
think so.
think.
He's
Yeah.
too devastating.
You can't
All
let
right.
him run from the backfield out into a
So here's
crease
how
in the
here's how
line and get open. Like it's
here's
devastating.
how I see this game. I like both coaches very much. I like both quarterbacks. I like both running games. I like both defenses tremendously. I think the roster in terms of depth is a little bit leaning towards the Seattle Seahawks. I agree with
Hmm.
Colin on that the Patriots feel about a draft or two away from being complete. But both teams are incredibly scrappy. And
Yeah.
so you have to think that they're going to give the Seahawks all they have. I just don't think the Patriots are going to roll over. They're just not made of that. And so I see a good game out of this. I really do. I think the
I
Seahawks are
do too.
better, and I think the Seahawks will win. But that's how I
Yeah.
see the game. Robbie, look at the ticket prices. The lowest ticket price with your back to the wall at the very top of the stadium is $6,318. That's the
That's crazy.
lowest price.
That's crazy.
Imagine taking a family of four.
There's no way.
26 grand. Oh my God.
No
Can you
way.
believe the
That's crazy.
prices of these games now?
I
Insane.
mean, yeah, you can, but
It's insane.
gosh,
It is. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be watching the commercials?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're probably gonna have some people over, so
Yeah.
well, I'm sure I'll have to be getting the nachos ready and stuff. But
I'm
yeah,
going to be
looking
watching it with
forward.
you. So, all right. So NFL coaching carousel, John Harbaugh, you like that hire to the Giants?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a fresh voice needed to be had in Baltimore, but that certainly doesn't mean that he can't coach anymore. He's a good coach
I
and they
think
need
so.
the right pieces, but they got a lot of nice young players there.
I think that was a
I think
nice
it's gonna be
hire.
a good fit.
I wasn't totally sure why they fired him, but I figured they just needed a new culture in
They
Baltimore.
need a new voice in the locker room.
This one surprised me. Jesse Minter to the Baltimore Ravens, basically 2 years as DC for the Green Bay Packers, and then he comes to Baltimore as the head coach. A lot of people are thinking that the Ravens are thinking their defense was just too soft. They needed a defensive minded coach to come in and get that defense to be flying around again. So you like this hire, Jesse Minter?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. First time coach? young
We'll see.
guy,
You never
defensive
know
line.
what you're getting with a first time coach.
Yeah, I don't think you know until about 2 years in. So
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski to the Atlanta Falcons. I think everyone thinks he's a really good coach. I think this is a good hire for the Falcons. Although I will say, he really messed up about 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I'm a little hesitant on Stefanski. I mean, he kind of screwed up the whole Baker situation.
Yeah. Baker definitely trashed him in the media.
He's the one who wanted Deshaun Watson and them to give him that big contract. That didn't work out. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
He was a two-time coach of the year or whatever,
Yeah, he was.
assistant coach of the year. He's a good coach. I think just I'm not sure if he's head coach material, but we'll find out. I think he's been given a nice team in Atlanta. I
I
think
agree
he
with
was
that.
one of the best jobs out there. And they're gonna have to figure it out at quarterback, but he's got good options. And
100%.
they've dramatically improved that defense. I don't know. I think he might be
100%.
okay. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. He has a little bit of a mixed record, but Robert Saleh goes to the Titans. He had been rumored to several different jobs, including the Arizona Cardinals. But Titans apparently decided that they want to get much more fundamentally sound on the defensive side of the ball. What's your feeling about that one?
I don't know if Robert Saleh is a good head coach. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's a great coordinator, and I think it remains to be seen whether he's a good head coach. He went to the Jets and failed. That doesn't mean he's a bad head coach. It just means the
Mm-hmm.
Jets are a miserable organization. And I have nothing
Right.
against the Jets. They they break careers in half. And I think Robert Saleh gets his opportunity here, and we'll see.
But don't you think that the Titans are kind of a miserable organization? They let Mike Vrabel go, and they got a Brian Callahan, who was a
They made
complete
a big
disaster.
mistake. They made a big mistake.
I don't know. I'm not sure he's going to a much better franchise than the Jets, maybe marginally, maybe
I do
5%.
think though that Vrabel has a demeanor that letting Vrabel go might have a little more to it than what we ever thought. So
Mm-hmm.
letting him go might not be as dumb as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the organization is not as bad as we think. And Salah coming in could give him some discipline and
Mm-hmm.
some order and get the rookies a little further along in their development. You get a
Mm-hmm.
good offensive coordinator in there, and maybe you're cooking. Who knows?
Maybe so. Maybe so. We'll see. What about your Miami Dolphins picking up Jeff Halfley?
I don't know. Very mixed on this.
He was
It might be okay.
also a defensive coordinator. I saw his 5 points to make Miami Dolphins relevant yesterday. He gave a little press conference. I was pretty impressed with him. I think he's
I
well
think he's gonna be
spoken.
fine.
He's well spoken. He's pretty good in the locker room.
Who's gonna be the offensive coordinator is the question.
I know because he's going to try to solidify that defense. A lot of these
Yeah.
teams have gone defensive. It's pretty surprising. I don't
Well,
know.
I think it really speaks to um, what we know is that all the offensive coordinators were getting elevated to head coach, and
Mhm.
defensive coordinators kept um, getting bypassed. And so there's a lot of really good defense coordinators. So the idea that they're now getting their opportunity, that's not that surprising.
That's true. That's true. We'll see if all these defensive guys can make an impact. And you're right, it's
We'll
all
see.
about the OC that they hire. The
Yeah.
final one was yesterday. Mike McCarthy goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And after Tomlin's resignation, they were really looking for a big bang approach. They signed him to a 5-year contract. And I saw a lot of criticism today on all the different channels that basically Mike McCarthy feels like kind of a blah hire. The only reason being because he's kind of an offensive coordinator at heart. And the question's going to be, can he really get them to the promised land, or is he just going to be 9-8 every year like Tomlin was?
I think he's gonna be better than he was in Dallas, because I think coaching in Dallas is a nightmare.
Yeah,
So with Jerry there, so he was pretty good in Green Bay. So I I think there's a chance that they get better because that's what the Steelers need is a more offensive minded personnel
true.
in
And
the coaching ranks.
and you think about who he joined when he joined Green Bay and he won a Super Bowl with. He had Brett Favre on the roster, and then he had Aaron Rodgers, who hadn't started yet.
Yep.
That's what he went into. And now he's coming to his team where everyone thinks that they're going to keep Rodgers for one more year and pair him with his old coach. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if that happens or not. But I don't know. We'll have to see if he looks a little better than he did in Dallas. I was not
I think he will.
majorly impressed.
He was given no power in Dallas, so he
Right,
took a lot of blame for things that weren't his fault.
right.
It's a nightmare coaching for Jerry.
So this is funny. Who's on Bills Mafia head coach radar after they fired Sean McDermott? And you mentioned one name, but I think it's going to be Daboll. But
The
maybe
only one that makes
maybe
sense is
Belichick.
Belichick.
Yeah.
He's the only one that makes sense.
You think so?
Hmm. And then get Dable for offensive coordinator and pay him a lot of money.
Maybe.
Yep.
Certainly possible. So we have 4 jobs open. There were 10 total about 2 weeks ago. Now there's 6 that are filled. And who do you think's the best job out of these, and who's the job that you wouldn't take it whether you're paid $20 million a year or not?
Well, I would say the Bills, except I think their GM does such a poor job that it's going to constantly be losing, and then you get blamed for wasting Josh Allen's years. So
Yeah.
I
Although
wouldn't take it.
The Bills, you are relevant right away, so that's one thing.
You're relevant right away, and then you start taking blame right away for when you're losing the playoffs. So I don't know. I don't know. Um, I don't know. I think the future of the Raiders is pretty good.
I think the Raiders. Yeah, I think Bills and Raiders are the 2 best jobs there. I would
I
not
think the
touch the
future of the
Browns.
Raiders is pretty good. They're starting to put good people into the ranks, and they need their quarterback
I feel
to
like the
go along.
Browns and the Cardinals are franchises where you go to have your coaching career die. That's what I feel like,
Maybe
unfortunately. Yeah,
you're going to do a lot of losing. So what does that do for your coaching
that's
career?
true.
It's not great.
All right, so our final slide for tonight, the subscriber challenge question. And Robbie, this is coming up on the Super Bowl now. We got a great picture there of Rabel and his quarterback. And McDonald said this about Sam Darnold: can't talk about the game without talking about our quarterback. He shut a lot of people up tonight, so I'm really happy for him.
Yep.
So
First,
let's go.
first of all, I see Drake May, a lot of Drake May in Sam Darnold. They're different quarterbacks, but I think you just stay the course with Drake May. Let him have his successes. Put a good game plan in there for him. That's what Vrabel is really doing well at, is figuring out how much this young man can take into his brain and all that. But Darnold, I'm excited about Darnold's progress. Um, and I was telling you today, look at my background, Tom.
Yeah, no,
Do you know what it says?
no, what?
The Marlboro Man.
Love it.
Darnold comes from a line of athletic people that you can't even believe this is real. His grandfather, his his grandfather's name, Dick Hammer.
Wow.
And yeah, Dick Hammer. The guy was a great athlete. He played at USC basketball and volleyball. And he got so good. Well, he started at basketball and then he tried out for the volleyball team, made it, and then made it to US national volleyball team. And then he became an actor and he was on one of my favorite shows from the 70s. It was a show
Hmm.
called Emergency.
Oh, wow.
It was about, I remember it. I watched it. It was about guys in they were first responders. They were like ambulances and fire whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
he ended up becoming the brand, the Marlboro Man, and he was this tough hombre
That's
over here.
hilarious.
And he was in every Marlboro Man ad. And this athletic dude is his grandfather. It's
That's
hilarious.
fantastic. That's great. All right, so subscriber challenge question of the night: who will win Super Bowl 60? Robbie,
Seattle,
what kind of score are we talking?
um, 31-24.
Okay. I've got Seattle 27-21. I think it'll be a 6-point spread. It could be a good game. So, guys, drop us a comment who you think will win the game and by what score. And we'll see how we do after the game itself. So, Robbie, 2 exciting games, man. We broke them down for everybody, broke down the stats.
Yeah, they were great. I mean, even though I didn't love the Broncos and Patriots one, it certainly was an interesting NFL game. And it was a tale of two halves. The first half was pretty good.
It was.
It was a little sloppy. The weather wasn't perfect, But then when the second half hit, it just became unmanageable. So that was interesting. It was
It was.
interesting to see that
It was.
happen and how the teams react. And those players were under incredible pressure at that point because they couldn't do a lot of the things they know how to do and they've trained all year to do.
One of the memes I saw today was funny. It said the NFL has made a last-minute announcement. They've decided to scrap the Super Bowl and have a best-of-3 series between the Rams and the Seahawks for the championship.
That'd be
Well, that was
smart.
pretty funny. And that would be some ratings. Play them 2 more times. So,
So
yep, it's going to be fun, guys. Leading up to the Super Bowl, we have some other content coming your way, but have the best time in preparing for the Super Bowl, enjoying it. All the press conferences, all the strategy talk, and obviously the game itself and the commercials and being with your family and eating wings and just enjoy it.
pretty excited to get to this point in the season, that's for sure. So much good football has been played, stars everywhere, good coaching, interesting uses of different strategies, defensive minded teams smashing into offensive minded teams. Just very good stuff. And fantasy football is all behind us now, and we're just ready to settle into an incredible Super Bowl. It should be a very physical one. Both teams pride themselves on physicality.
Mm-hmm.
They mimic the sort of the personalities of their coach are very kind of gruff, and they like organized violence.
Mm-hmm.
They like lots of hitting and
Mm-hmm.
attacking and lots of expenditure of energy, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be really, really wild.
Thank you for all your likes and subscribes this year and for coming along this journey with us in this football season. It's been fantastic. The college football season was great. NFL has been just in another level this year. It really has. And we're about to finish it out with the Super Bowl. But again, thank you so much for coming along the ride with us.
Yeah, thanks for liking, subscribing, and putting in time to join us on our different episodes throughout the year. Hopefully, you've enjoyed them, and we enjoy hearing from you. Drop us comments whenever you can, and let us know you're out there. Let us know your points of view so we can talk about them. And it's been a great year. Thanks for coming along with us.
Drop us some comments, and we'll see you guys next time on the Sports Guys. Have a great one.
All right, see you.